today. My name is Diego Miguel Video Campo from BSc 1-1. So today we're going to discuss what is postmodern theory and institutive-constitutive theory. So let's start. So postmodern theory according to dictionary. So postmodern theory is also known as postmodernism. It, postmodern Postmodernism is a style and concepts usually used in arts, architecture, and criticism, and it used during the late 20th century. It also a general distrust of grand theories and ideologies, meaning there's a lack of trust in that specific word. Next is meaning of postmodernism. Postmodernism. So postmodernism is more on number of trends or movements, particularly in arts and literature during 1970s. So history of postmodernism. So the first term was used during 1870s in various areas, and the term was then applied to a whole host of movement. Many is art, music, and literature. So postmodernism um, is only, it only tackles about art, music, and literature mostly. So here we have John Watkins Chapman. So he's a postmodernist. Um, his style of in postmodernism is usually painting. So most of his arts was exhibited mainly in London at the Royal Society of British Artists. And his artworks are usually um, pictures of dogs, landscapes, and interiors, as well as flowers and portrait engravings. So here we have another postmodernist. So we have J.M. Thompson. So in 1914s, his article in the Hebrew Journal, the term postmodernism was used to describe changes in attitudes and beliefs in the critique of religion. So according to J.M. Thompson, the meaning of postmodernism um, for him is to describe changes in beliefs of a religion. So next we have postmodern literature. So postmodern literature emerged in World War II era. So postmodern literature is characterized by heavy reliance on techniques like fragmentation, paradox, and questionable narrators. So postmodern works are usually seen as a reaction against Enlightenment, and it also approaches the literature. So postmodern characteristics. So these are the characteristics of postmodernism. So we have irony, playfulness, and black humor, fastic, intersexuality, metafiction, historiographic metafiction, temporal distortion, technoculture and hyperreality, paranoia, maximalism, minimalism, faction, magical realism, and participation. So those characteristics are usually seen in arts, literature, and also music. we have modernism versus postmodernism. So in modernism, began in 1890 to 1945. So it is usually based on rational, logical means to gain knowledge, meaning um, the modernist thinks critically so that they may gain knowledge. Next is it was characterized by a hierarchical and organized and determinate nature of knowledge, meaning there's rankings. Next is modernist approach was objective, theoretical, and analytic because it's like what I've said. Um, they use rational thinking and logical thinking. So next we have postmodernism. So postmodernism began after World War II. So they denied the application of logical thinking. So they don't maybe believe in logical thinking. So their works was based on anarchical and non-totalized and indeterminate state of knowledge. So their approach was based on subjectivity. So we have more modernism. Modernist thinking is about the search of an abstract truth of life, meaning um, they focuses on searching the truth of life. Next is modernism, attempts to construct a coherent worldview. And last, during the modernist era, art and literature were considered as the unique creation of the artist. Because post modernism usually um, goes for arts and literature, and the uniqueness was based on the artist's art and literature. So, so we have postmodernism. Postmodernist thinkers believe that there is no universal truth. So in modernism, they believe in truth of life, while postmodernism, they don't believe in universal truth. Postmodernism attempts to remove difference between high and low. So there is no high, there is no low. So next is postmodern era. With advancement in technology, television and computers became dominant. So this time during the postmodern, technologies arise. So next, who is the author of postmodernism? So we have the we have Kurt Vonnegut. He is the postmodernist. So Kurt Vonnegut, born in Indianapolis and born November 11, 1922, and died April 11, 2007. So his family was hit very hard by depression. Because of that, he enrolled at Cornell University in 1940, and in 1943 he was enlisted in U.S. Army. So while he was in training, her mother committed suicide by overdosing herself in May 1944. And during that year, December 14, Von Gund was captured in Battle of the Bow. So he escapes, and Von Gut was one of the very survivors in that war. And when he returned in U.S. Army in May 1945, he married his high school girlfriend named Jane Mary Cox. So next, we will discuss the institutive and constitutive theory. So what is institution? So institution is a term which means different things to different authors, meaning um, different works, different ideas, as well as different um, authors. So institution can be formal or informal. Either of them can be used. So these are embedded in traditional social practices and culture which can be equally binding. So that's according to Leftwich 2006. So what is institutive theory? So institutive theory is a theory on a deeper, more resilient aspects of social structures. It includes schemes, rules, norms, and routines as guidance for social behavior, meaning institutive theory focuses more on social structures, behaviors, social norms, something like that. Next is constitutive theory. Constitutive theory states that recognition of an entity as a state is not automatic. It contends that the act of recognition itself actually creates the state. So meaning a place cannot be called a state automatically if there's a missing element. So what are those elements? Later on we will discuss it. So first, what is state? State is a form of human association distinguished from other social groups by its purpose, the establishment of order and security, its methods, the laws and their enforcement, its territory, the area of jurisdiction or geographic boundaries, and finally by its sovereignty. Meaning to say, state was composed of four elements. So these are the elements. So we have physical basis and political basis of the state. So first, physical basis of state. So we have population and territory. While political basis of the state, we have government and sovereignty. So um, population is essential for the state. Um, Population makes the state, meaning if there is no population, there will be no state, as well as territory. There can be no state without having fixed territory. So before a state formed, there must be a territory. The territory includes the following: land, water, air, and space. So that's the uh, scope of territory. So next we have government. So government is the working agency of the state. So there will be no state if there is no government running the state. So next is sovereignty. So a word means supreme and final legal authority and beyond which no legal power exists. So sovereignty is the powerful um, element of a state. So here we have two aspects of sovereignty. We have internal and external sovereignty. So in internal means that the state is a supreme over all citizens and associations, meaning um, state um, state is supreme, and even though citizens and associations cannot be higher than the state according to internal sovereignty, while external sovereignty means that the state is independent and free from foreign or outside control, meaning there's a transaction can be formed outside the state. So that's all for our discussion for today. So thank you for listening and have a good day.